Welcome all to another class of Hunger Games history. Today, we will be covering the events of the 4th annual Hunger Games, a year in which the extra vigilance from peacekeepers that had been implemented in response to the events of last year had paid off. For the first time, all 24 tributes arrived to the arena alive. As they were collected off their districts, the tributes and their clothes were now more thoroughly checked before entering the train. Some of the peacekeepers enlisted from the capital even wore gloves to do this job, but were hesitant to touch the tributes' clothes, considering them filthy. The tributes still traveled separately from the peacekeepers, inside the cattle cars, but all were made known about a new rule stating to be forbidden to fight each other before entering the arena, under the threat of execution in case this rule was not followed. Despite this, tributes still feared each other's actions, and wondered about the intentions of their peers, attempting to keep some distance from each other throughout the whole trip. Tributes from Districts 7 to 12 were especially affected, having to come face to face with the smears of dried blood on the cattle car's floor that had not been washed since last year. This same anxiety carried through inside the animal pen, with most tributes refusing to interact much with each other, even between those of the same district. While most children from the districts did not have a way to watch the Hunger Games, news about a tribute vicious enough to kill their own district partner the previous year spread fast. Furthermore, the extra pressure from the peacekeepers now surrounding each corner of the animal pen from outside ensured that everyone would be on their best behavior until it was time to be brought to the arena. Having 24 tributes in the arena would assure that viewers were finally going to see some of the action they so desperately craved. But it also meant that everything became messy and hard to follow very quickly, given the technology at the time. Some tributes hesitated to leave their starting position after the signal was given, while others desperately tried to figure out which of the tributes would take action first, and where they should run towards to stay safe. However, there were a few that swallowed their fear and instead took advantage of other tributes' hesitation to take action and catch them by surprise. That was the case of Aaron and Vanessa of District 2. Strong-looking tributes who knew their best shot at surviving would be to act now. Vanessa took the initiative by being the first to grab a weapon, using it to kill the girl from District 8, while Aaron followed by picking up a sword and killing one of the runs from District 12. Pressured to take action and not become prey, Wolf from District 10 is the next one claiming a victim, when he throws an accurate knife at a girl from District 5. Aaron then advanced towards the male tribute from District 3, killing him before he could grab a weapon of his own. However, the female tribute from District 7 took Aaron's distraction with the other boy to grab a weapon herself. Turning around, she finds the tribute from District 5 right behind her. Letting her instinct act in panic, the girl simply threw the axe at him, hitting his abdomen. Leaving her axe in his body, she flees from the center of the arena, terrified of what she had done. Seeing so many kills happening in a short amount of time led more tributes than usual to overcome their fear and take action, as their fight-or-flight systems activated. On the other side of the weapon pile, Pam, the female tribute from District 10, had just shown off her skills with blades after killing the girl from District 6, deciding to run away from all the mess right after. Ray and Medusa, the two tributes from District 4, happened to corner Spencer from District 8, as the three attempted to get close to the weapon pile. Unarmed, Ray used his fists to shove Spencer out of the way, while Medusa, who had just now managed to grab a pitchfork, finished the job, killing him. Wolf, from District 10, got overly confident after getting his first kill, staying for longer than he should have near the weapon pile. He is surprised by the boy from District 7, who now in possession of an axe, hits him from behind. The next one to fall was Little Hoxie, from District 12, who had run away the furthest she could from the weapon pile. But due to her terrible physical condition, she ended up passing out from exhaustion and heat stroke. Taking advantage of the situation, Pam kills her while she's out. Back in the center of the arena, a violent fight was now taking place between Vanessa and Medusa, resulting in the death of the latter. Without taking a break, Vanessa then moves on to Ray, Medusa's district partner, who had seen them fighting from afar and figured his best chance of survival would be to run away. Simultaneously, Aaron had just claimed another victim, the girl from District 11, who had attempted to stealthily take a weapon from the pile, only to be met with Aaron's quick reaction time. Meanwhile, away from the weapon pile, Pam from District 10 managed to take out another tribute, Wilco, the girl from District 9. The games had just started, and multiple tributes had already fallen inside the arena, most as a result of a fight, a first for the event. Capital citizens watching from home were ecstatic, finally getting what they were promised. Tributes, however, were simply doing what they felt they had to do to survive. With the capital's efforts the previous year putting emphasis on Joshua's horrible acts inside the train to paint the district as savage, tributes seemed more anxious to just sit around, wondering if there could be more Joshuas among them. This time, they knew they had to take initiative first to avoid having the same fate, resulting in more action, more violence, more proof of how savage the districts could be, exactly what the Department of War wanted. Vanessa, from District 2, now managed to catch up to Ray, from District 4. She strikes against his abdomen with her weapon, and Ray, in a rush of pain and adrenaline, is still able to retaliate with a fatal strike of his pitchfork. He then attempts to use his last bits of strength to run away from all the fighting. Aaron spots him heading towards the stands surrounding the arena, but decides to sit back near the weapon pile, from where he could observe all the remaining tributes from afar. The vast majority were in his plain sight, as the arena offered little to no place to hide, especially under such harsh sunlight. No one seemed very willing to continue fighting, as the heat was getting worse, and everyone felt overwhelmed and sickened, as they processed the killings around them and their own behavior. Near the borders of the arena, the girl from District 7 had managed to use her climbing abilities to get to the bleachers surrounding the ring, now that the area was open without a live audience. Quinn, from District 1, had followed after her from a distance, going unnoticed. The girl had some difficulties getting up to the stands, but once she did, she managed to sneak up to the other tribute and grab her leg to pull her down the seats. Hitting her head on the hard floor, the fall ends up being fatal. Quinn then proceeded to search her body in hopes of finding something useful, but without any luck. As exhaustion and fear caught up to the tributes, the few still alive stayed in their corners, bringing the action down for a while. Some had copied the idea of attempting to climb up the bleachers, creating more distance between them and tributes like Aaron, who still remained in the center of the arena with his weapon in hand. By then, all remaining tributes had seen him fighting, and none wanted anything to do with him. It was Travis, the boy from District 7, who eventually realized there was no use in waiting around, and went after Bastion, the boy from District 1, who was on top of the bleachers. Travis figured he would have an advantage against Bastion, who was not armed, while he carried an axe. But instead, he was met with quick, hand-to-hand combat movements from Bastion, who managed to disarm Travis and steal his weapon. Knowing that he had to do something quick before Bastion could strike, the boy from District 7 decided to perform a risky move, by grabbing his opponent and throwing himself down the seats, together with him. As both fall on the arena's hard floor, Bastion finds himself badly injured, but alive, while Travis couldn't resist the impact. On the other side of the bleachers, Aubrey, the girl from District 3, went into seizure as she tried to escape from Pam, who was chasing her with a machete in hand. The seizure causes Aubrey to stumble down the bleachers, not surviving the fall. As for the other tributes, Bastion from District 1 and Ray from District 4 were both gravely injured from their previous fights. Rhodes and Bishop, the male tributes from District 11 and 6 respectively, ended up passing out due to both exhaustion and dehydration. So far, the two had spent all time inside the arena trying to run away from danger, but that summer's temperatures were not forgiving, and the two tributes had come from their districts already debilitated. Only 4 contenders with physical condition good enough to fight were left. Ray ended up succumbing to his injuries, while Bastion had his weapon taken by the male tribute from District 9, who found the boy barely moving on the ground and put him out of his misery. In contrast, Pam from District 10 showed no mercy in taking down both tributes she found passed out, which she found to be a much easier way to reduce the competition. She then moves on to Quinn from District 1, who she spots nearby. Worried about whether she could take Pam down in battle, Quinn attempts to lure her to the center of the arena, where Aaron, from District 2, was still, hoping that the boy would fight her instead. After the initial fighting for weapons, Aaron had been sitting in the center of the arena since then, weapon in hand, with his eyes on the tributes around him, as if he was studying them. Until now, he hadn't insisted on fighting anyone else. However, upon seeing the two girls getting too close, he finally stood up. Pam and Quinn find themselves in front of Aaron, who held his sword pointing at the two. They freeze for a solid second, until Quinn attempts to quickly run away to the sides, in hopes the two would start fighting and leave her alone. However, Aaron could predict her movement and swiftly caught up to her, taking her out. Pam, who suddenly didn't seem as willing to fight anymore, took the time Aaron was busy with Quinn to flee back to the bleachers. Seeing Pam getting away, Aaron is now left with two last opponents who refuse to get close. He shouts at the top of his lungs, calling the two by name and challenging them to combat. The two, surprised to see how Aaron knew their names, refuse to move, staying each in their corner up in the bleachers. Minutes passed by with no action, until the heat and dehydration seemed to become too much to bear for Dixon, the boy still left from District 9. Now with him passed out, Pam was able to get close and continue her strategy of killing tributes when they could not have a chance to defend themselves. Getting ready to strike with her machete, Pam is startled by the boy, who had actually been pretending the entire time, as he jumped up and used his axe to strike against the girl's arm, inflicting a nasty wound. She grunted, perhaps also out of frustration from her plan failing, than just out of pain. Fast enough to grab her weapon again, she now badly attempted to swing her machete at her opponent with her non-dominant hand. Trying to avoid being hit, Dixon lost his balance and rolled down the stands, injuring himself. Now with her opponent wounded and disoriented, Pam takes the opportunity to take his weapon away. Seeing both his opponents now down from the stands, Aaron starts getting closer. By the time Dixon got up and saw that Pam had stolen his weapon, he started running after her, not realizing that Aaron was cautiously following him as well. Dixon, as he was so fixated on getting to Pam, didn't acknowledge Aaron's presence until he was stabbed from behind with a sword. Now, with only a badly injured opponent left, Aaron took his place back at the center of the arena, where he simply sat down and waited, watching how Pam fell down from exhaustion and slowly bled to her death. Aaron was then announced the victor of the 4th annual Hunger Games.